Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. If you're new here, my name is Candice. Today we are going to be talking about Halloween. And this is definitely a controversial subject, I think, amongst the Christian community. Some people are for celebrating it, a lot of people are not. Some people fall somewhere in the middle and don't know which stance to take on it. Today's video is going to help you figure out which side you want to be on and which stance that you think you should be on. I'm going to give you biblical evidence, and we're just going to talk about this from a godly biblical point of view, okay? First, of course, we're going to pray for this video and then we'll dive right in. God, thank you so much for making your word so clear and for giving us the manual, basically, that is the Bible, of what you are like, to help us learn about you and what you like and what you don't like, and to teach us what is right and what is wrong and what's acceptable in your eyes and what isn't. Thank you so much for every single person who is watching this video. I pray that you would open their eyes, open their ears, and bless their hearts and their minds and speak to them through this video. I pray that you would increase, God, as I decrease, and that this video would be from you to your people. I ask these things in Jesus Christ's name. Okay, so Halloween is coming up here in a couple of months. I've seen the decorations at my local stores since like the end of July. So this has been something that's kind of been on my mind, and God convicted me years ago on certain things regarding this holiday, and it's time to share, okay? So I'm just going to present these things, and then you guys can take what you will, leave what you don't. It's totally up to you. I'm going to start off by saying that in the Bible, of course, there is nothing clearly that talks about specifically Halloween, because Halloween didn't really start till after the fact that the Bible was written, okay? So in there is no specific mention anywhere of the word Halloween. That being said, there are definite principles throughout the Bible that we can apply towards our decision of whether or not to celebrate this day, okay? I want to start with, of course, what this day is all about. I mean, you look at, all you have to do to know that is to look at the decorations that are in the stores, right? They're dark, they're creepy, they're usually revolved around death or evil things or trying to scare someone. Like they had like those, when I was a kid, they had like those little cauldron pot plastic things where there's that hand that would come down and grab you to scare the kids. Like, just about everything revolving around this day is dark. It's evil. There's no lightness in it. There's no righteousness in it, right? It's all dark and creepy. I mean, if you look at any of the movies that are surrounding this day or are themed around, as Halloween movies, right? They're about witches or warlocks, demons, or vile things, zombies, stuff like that. And those things, God did very clearly state his opinion on some of those things in the Bible. So we're going to start in Deuteronomy chapter 18, verse 10, okay? If you don't have a Bible, you can always open up a Bible app. They got them. You can download them for free just about on any phone these days. Where am I? Deuteronomy 10, verse 18, right? Deuteronomy 18. Read that wrong. Deuteronomy 18. Sorry, y'all. Verses 10 through 14. It says, "There shall not be found among you any one that maketh his son or his daughter to pass through the fire." In other words, it's referencing child sacrifice. A lot of the pagan things back then were, if you want power, if you want blessings, sacrifice your child and kill them to receive blessings. God's not cool with that, right? or that uses divination, or an observer of times, or an enchanter, or a witch, or a charmer, or a consulter with familiar spirits, or a wizard, or a necromancer. For all that do these things are an abomination unto the Lord. And because of these abominations, the Lord thy God doth drive them out from before thee. Thou shalt be perfect with the Lord thy God. For these nations which thou shalt possess hearkened unto observers of times and unto diviners, but as for thee, the Lord thy God has not suffered thee to do so. Right? So Israel's going into take the promised land, right? And God's like, I'm kicking these other guys out because they did stuff I said not to do. They're killing their children, they're sacrificing their children, they're using witchcraft, they're observing times, they're doing all this other stuff except coming to me, right? And what is Halloween all about? Witches, witchcrafts, demons, creepy dark stuff. And God says that these are abominations. If you actually look up the word abomination, if you have a Bible dictionary, the word abomination can mean to be a moral stench, unclean, fetid, disgusting idol, to loathe or pollute, a filthy, idolatrous object, something disgusting, detestable, and abominable. In this particular verse, abomination means something that is disgusting to God, as in God hates it. Like, he's not okay with it at all. And I think through time, we've kind of lost the significance of that, almost. We're like, oh, well, it's innocent fun. It's, it's not really harming anybody. I'm not worshiping Satan, so it's okay. God clearly states that he does not like these things, and God doesn't change, like, at all. He doesn't change. So if he didn't like these things in the Old Testament, he definitely doesn't like them now. And so I think for us to take such a view that, oh, well, it's okay, clearly that's not God's view on it. Okay? And if you look at these movies too, what is it? One of the most watched movies at Halloween is Hocus Pocus, right? Which is a movie about witches who are trying to murder a child and steal her life to extend their own. Child sacrifice. God's not cool with that either, right? Jeremiah, chapter 32, verse 35. Nehemiah, Job, Psalms, Proverbs, Jeremiah. I should have probably bookmarked these, but I didn't. Okay, 32, 35. And this is talking about the prophets talking to Israel, being like, hey, It says, and they built the high places of Baal, which are in the valley of the son of Hinnom, to cause their sons and daughters to pass through the fire unto Molech. In other words, sacrificing their children to a pagan god. Which I commanded, this is God talking, I forgot. Which I commanded them not, neither came it into my mind that they should do this abomination to cause Judah to sin. God takes a hard stance when it comes to kids, right? He loves children. God adores children. And just about everything to do with Halloween is against children. I mean, it's like, for Halloween, they try to lure children in with candy, right? But none of this stuff is for children's good. I mean, none of the creepy stuff is good for kids to watch, right? Like, that movie gives kids nightmares. And if it gives you nightmares, it's probably not wise to watch it or to allow your children to be around it, right? Okay, we're going to talk about the innocent fun side, which I would argue is not a side, but this is the way people frame this. The innocent fun side of Halloween, where they say, oh, well, we don't do the creepy stuff, but I let my kid dress up, and we go to like a trunk or treat at a church, where they still get to have candy and do like the Halloween stuff, but we just don't do the really creepy stuff. Most of these costumes that kids are dressing up as, let's look at the costumes first, right? Most of these costumes, first and foremost, it promotes pretending to be someone you're not. Taking on a different identity for a day, an identity that is not God-given, and that God didn't ascribe to you at all, right? And whether that be something that we would consider, that most people would consider innocent, as, oh, they're just dressed up like a princess, or, oh, they're just dressed up like their favorite superhero character. If you look at the stories behind these things, right, I'm specifically going to go here. We're going to talk about Disney characters because that's what I see a lot of kids dressed up as. Disney characters. Almost every single Disney princess. If you watch the movies, there's witchcraft involved. And almost every single one of them, there's a witch or witchcraft involved, right? Some sort of fairy godmother, or, you know, an evil queen, or a witch doing something, or some guy doing voodoo. Like, there is always a measure of witchcraft involved. And as we read that verse earlier, God's not okay with that. And so dressing your child up as a character who is involved in a story that's involved with witchcraft does not seem like the most innocent thing to do. I'm going to say it, okay? When I was a kid, yes, I dressed up for Halloween when I was a kid. I didn't know any better, guys. But as I got older, as God showed me and opened my eyes to the evil behind a lot of these things, and he showed me that, yeah, I don't like this. This is not of me. This is not okay and as innocent as people claim it to be. Like, as he convicted my heart, like, I stopped celebrating it, I stopped having anything to do with it, and I no longer encourage children to do so either. I mean, even if you frame it as a harvest celebration, but the kids are still dressing up, it's still Halloween. Come on, y'all. Okay. And usually in Disney characters, too, there's always some spirit of rebellion. The parents are dead, right? They're rebelling against whatever parental figure they have. Like, it's just not righteous stuff. It's not stuff that God approves of. On the account of superheroes, right? Again, it's usually some form of magic or spells or something otherworldly that isn't God that gave them these superpowers. And so they're relying on these superpowers and playing God instead of, you know, having God be God. I mean, you could go down this road and explain just about any character you want to put your kid in, any costume you want to put your kid in. Ephesians chapter 5. And I'm not making this video to make you guys feel bad or, you know, to make you feel shame. I think a great many people these days just simply have not had their eyes open to what's really behind these things, and a lot of people just are ignorant, right? You just don't know. But once God opens your eyes to these things, if he has you watching my face right now and watching me talk to you and listening to me, he's trying to tell you something. He's trying to convict your heart and really open your eyes to get you closer to him. Because as long as all of these ungodly practices are in your life, right, or they're things that you still do, still celebrate, it prevents you from getting closer to him. As you get closer to God, naturally God starts pruning these things out of your life because he wants you to be closer to him. He wants you to be more righteous. He wants you to love him more and to experience his love more, right? He does it out of love for us. Ephesians chapter 5, verses 11 through 17. And have no fellowship with the unfruitful works of darkness, but rather reprove them, for it is a shame even to speak of those things which are done of them in secret. But all things that are reproved are made manifest by the light, For whatsoever doth make manifest is light. Wherefore he saith, Awake, thou that sleepest, and arise from the dead, and Christ shall give thee light. See then that ye walk circumspectly, not as fools, but as wise, redeeming the time, because the days are evil. Wherefore be ye not unwise, but understanding what the will of the Lord is. Right? We're supposed to try and get closer to God and understand who he is. And throughout the Bible, he gives us all of these stories and all of these examples of people just like us, right? Who fell away from him, came their journeys back, who were faithful to him. Like, he gives all of these examples and all of these things so we can understand his will better in our lives. And he doesn't want us to have anything to do with darkness, right? He wants us to live in the light with him. He wants us to have eternity with him, which is in the light. There's no darkness allowed there, right? Nothing bad is allowed in heaven. God only wants us to be there with him. For us to be there, though, we have to get to know him, right? At the end of times, there's going to be a lot of people who are going to come to him and say, hey, I did this in your name, and I did these good works for you, and I did this for you. And Jesus is going to say, depart from me. I never knew you. And that's a knowing. If you've ever watched my abiding video, or in the video of Does God Know You and Do You Know God? That sort of knowing is a deep personal relationship, right? We can know head knowledge and know of God or know of Jesus, right? Or go to church every Sunday and, talk about him. But if you don't know him fully in your heart, if you don't know what it's like to have that relationship with him, if you don't trust him, if you don't follow him, if you don't want his best for your life, if you don't want to give up certain things to be closer to him, ultimately your eternity is at stake, right? We're going to go to 1 Corinthians. After Romans, 1 Corinthians chapter 6, verse 9 through 11. It says, Know ye not that the unrighteous shall not inherit the kingdom of God? Be not deceived, neither fornicators, nor idolaters, nor adulterers, nor effeminate, nor abusers of themselves with mankind, nor thieves, nor covetous, nor drunkards, nor revilers, nor extortioners shall inherit the kingdom of God. And such were some of you. But you are washed, and you are sanctified, but you are justified in the name of the Lord Jesus and by the Spirit of our God. Once you come into a relationship with Jesus and God, once you are baptized, and once you get closer to him and want to be with him for an eternity, right? You're washed clean. You're supposed to be a new person, put on the new man. You're not supposed to walk in the same way that you walked before. You're not supposed to do the same things you did before, that were not of God. And this is one of those things. We're going to go to Revelations. Last book of the Bible, y'all. Chapter 21, verse 27. This is talking about new heaven, new earth, the city where God is, all the light and goodness and stuff. It says, And there shall in no wise enter into it anything that defileth, neither whatsoever worketh abomination, or maketh a lie, but they which are written in the Lamb's book of life. So no evil things, and nobody who's doing evil things or worshiping evil things or participating in evil things is going to be allowed in. Chapter 22, verses 12 through 15. And behold, I come quickly, and my reward is with me, to give every man according as his work shall be. I am Alpha and Omega, the beginning and the end, the first and the last. Blessed are they that do his commandments, that they may have right to the tree of life, and may enter into the gates of the city. For without are dogs and sorcerers, and whoremongers, and murderers, and idolaters, and whoever loveth and maketh a lie. And if you think about it, ultimately, if we are saying that Halloween is okay, or that it's innocent fun, or that, God doesn't mind me doing this because of one verse in the New Testament that isn't talking about Halloween at all. I've seen that verse floating around justifying it. It doesn't work in that context. If you are saying these things or believing these things, technically it's a lie. And there are a lot of lies people believe, but once God opens our eyes to the truth, we should reject the lie, right? And embrace the truth. The lie is that Halloween's okay. It's innocent fun. It's no big deal. All of the fruits that come out of it prove it to be otherwise. Our eternities are at stake, guys. I know in the grand scheme of life, right? That something as simple as giving out candy or dressing up doesn't seem like that big of a deal. But ultimately, what we participate in, what we choose to spend our time on, what we choose to condone or be a part of is important because it affects our eternity. It affects our relationship with God. And if we want to get closer to Him, we have to stop participating in evil things or in things that He doesn't like, right? And from those Bible verses that I read to you today, I believe it is very clear that God does not like these things. What you choose to do with your time, of course, is up to you. I pray that this has blessed you in some way. I have opened up an email address for prayer requests. If you guys have any, you can always send them to the email address. I'm going to stick it in the description box. And if you have any comments, feel free to leave them. I review all of the comments before posting them to keep this a safe place for constructive content. I pray you guys have a blessed week. Bye, guys.